staged. That's why. That would help. I gotta stage something for you to see it. If I don't stage it, you can't see it. Well, that's interesting. Let me flip this. Didn't want that. Interesting that it's flipped 180 degrees. Can I visual effects, camera, mirror? No, it's not what I want. I want to flip. Maybe I can't. No, I can always do it this way. See what happens there. Oh, it's that camera. That's why. Let me flip that back around. Okay. Okay. That's part of the deal. So I could possibly do that. Let me double check here. So I hope everybody's having a better week or start of the week. I thought I was doing all right, but all of a sudden I got to get something fixed up here. So let's Logic Tune. That's what I want. Remind me later. Zoom. Image adjustments. Balance, auto exposure, focus, anti-flicker. I thought that's what I would want. Okay. It's not that. Interesting. Just what I thought. Just move that. Okay. I guess that's right. It just doesn't see. It seems like that one was always the other way, but that's okay. We're gonna come over to this other camera. Anywho, get it repositioned. A little bit better. Come on now, stay down here. Interesting that it doesn't want to stay down here now. All right, that's close enough. Close enough for what it's for. So, you want to assemble a set of Pro Spec rims for your Pro Motos bike, but you've never done it before and you don't know what the heck you're doing. Well, that's what I'm going to show you how to do it here. It's actually pretty easy on these bikes. Not quite like a real bike, but it's been 30 years since I put together a real bike rim, so they probably changed and maybe a little bit more like this. However, these are pretty easy, but there are a couple tricks to it that you got to do to make it right. So the first thing I want to do is show you what we got. Obviously, you're going to need a hub. You're going to need a set of spokes. You're going to need a rim. And from there, of course, you'll need bearings and the slip ring and then tire glued to the slip ring, blah, blah, blah. But this is the basic items here. You notice I got the spokes in two piles, and that's a reason for that. Let me show you. When you buy a package of spokes, go back to the other. Yeah, no, that's fine. When you buy a package of spokes, you'll see there's a bag in here that has one set of spokes, and then the other spokes are loose. The reason is spokes are different lengths. It's not always the case, but in most cases, your spokes on your bike rims are slightly different length for each side, how they attach to the hub. And the same thing here. There are some cases and some, real one-to-one bikes where your spokes are the same length the way they were designed. These are slightly different. You've got one set that is probably 1 millimeter longer than the other. Now the top one, if you can see it here, is from this pile here, or I should say the one closest to me is from the pile on my right, and the one closest to the screen, farthest away from me, this one out here, is shorter, and it's from this pile over here. So you got to make sure you keep your spokes separate. You don't want to mix them up whenever you're working on or assembling your rims, or at least know which side is which side's the longer one and which side's the shorter one. And in this setup, it's kind of easy to see because when you grab your hub, even though it's pretty much the same here on each side, your longer ones are going to go to this side. Your shorter ones are going to come through the rim and screw into this, your brake side of the hub. So your longer ones will actually be screwing into your sprocket side of your rear hub. It'll be your brake caliper side of your front hub. So that's why you got two sides, you keep your spokes separate because you got two separate sides. Now what you want to do when you're assembling a rim, and these are pretty easy, it is with any rim, you got to get you want to get your hub set up right and then get your rim adjusted. Now luckily, the way these are set up and done, you can grab a couple of your ProMoto Spec batteries, set them up like this. So I got the rim side of the hub down, or I should say the sprocket side of the hub down. We're going to be using this, and if you look at your ring, it's got holes here obviously, but they're not straight through, they're on an angle. One come from this side and they kind of go like this, back and forth. One come from this side and they do the same thing. They just don't go straight through at 90 degrees, they kind of angle, and that's to line up and go into each one. Now there doesn't appear to be a difference in this particular ring if it sets which way. It's the same either way. So this seems to be non-directional. Well, actually it's not. There is a direction to this because of the way the rims slip on and off, and that's got to be set up right. So, and I don't quite remember what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this rim out here that I've got that's already pre-assembled. I don't know if I can tell with this. And no, I got to have the one that's no piece of it. So I bought these while they're on special, and everybody, they had a hell of a deal on them. Who couldn't buy them? So I bought a set of red MX, then a set of gold MX, but I could only get the front rim. I had to buy the stuff to assemble the back rim. And then I bought a set of blue Supermoto rims, the slightly smaller ring rims for the on-road tires for ProLine. And they all have to be assembled, both front and back. I'll be doing those too. But yeah, so we're going to take a quick look at this, and let's take a look. Our ring here, do they got screws in there? No, they don't. Looks like it slides in this way. Yeah, there we go. So you got to slip the ring out. Was it? Is it in all the way, or does it come out? Oh, before I do that, I got to cut the zip ties and pull them out. Forgot about that. They got to go before we can get this ring off. So it's nice to have a rim that you can look at and verify, but if you don't, then, well, you can always come to this video. So let's pull our ring off here a little bit. So it looks like our slip ring comes in from the non-sprocket side. Yeah, because you can see that it's sliding this way. I just got to get it off all the way. Got to get it just right and just tight. But yeah, so your slip ring will be installed towards your non-sprocket side or your non-brake caliper, brake disc side. So it's going to go off. If you're looking at the bike, you're on the bike and you're sitting on it, and your sprocket and your calipers on the left-hand side, your ring slip's going to start on the right-hand side. So in this case, you know, your sprocket will sit like this. So you want your lines coming in from the right. So that way you know your ring is orientated. I was wrong a little bit ago. There is an orientation to it because of the way the tires slip on and off. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a need for the most part. So what you do is, we know this is going to be our hub side. These are our slightly shorter ones, I believe, or longer ones. What I should actually do, yeah, these are our longer ones. It seems like the longer ones would go into the other side. So let me do this. Go ahead and pop it. Pop this rim and wheel off. Come on, go. Come on. We'll pop one of these spokes out of here on the side and compare it. Boy, these things get off just a little bit. They bind up. That's your slip ring. You glue your tire to this and then slide it on that. And you got to watch how you're gluing your tire on this, because it's got to go on right. So your slip ring is going to be sitting like this with your nubs on the right side so they can match in once the rim's halfway seated. So everything does have a direction to some point when you're putting things together. Not all your tires are directional, but a paddle tire is. A few other tires do have, like your MX, I think it's the MX-14. You know, it's kind of built in a scoop. Those are directional, so you want to make sure you're putting them on and gluing them on the rings the right way. So when you put your rings on the tire is orientated properly, and forward is forward and not backwards. All right, so let me grab, just in case I need that. I've been able to do it with my ball here, and I want to take one out of this side. She is tight. So they do go in there pretty good. Take this one out, and I'm going to compare it. This is the one that goes in the hub. That is a shorter one. Was right. Okay. So I did have myself confused a little bit earlier. Okay, so I'm going to slip these here. The longer ones are the ones that pin into the non-sprocket side. If you're on the rear wheel, it would be the brake caliper side. These are the short ones, right? The short ones pin into the sprocket side on the rear. Or they would most likely, I haven't done a front one yet, I haven't done a back one yet. I put this one together and I pull it back apart just to make sure I remembered what the hell I was doing. So it's really easy. You set yourself up, put your hub standing upright in the middle, put your ring around it, take your short going, because you're going to go to the bottom. They're the accessible ones. And when you're putting on your ring, you want to go through the uppermost. When your ring's laying like this, there's going to be the uppermost holes will be the holes that you pin through. And like I said, they're directional. So you can just see it and put your pin through there and then put it down there and say, okay, that's going to screw into that. When you line it right up, it'll literally come right up and line right up to the spot it's got to line up on the hub. Where other one-to-one bikes, you had to actually pull it through the loop on the hub and then get it to pin through and then put your nut on the inside. These ones are screwed in from the inside to the out. And that's all there is to it. You just put one in, get a couple threads coming in, then you come into the other side. That one's that one, so that one's going to be this one. Yeah, it's going to be that one. And then you just get a couple screws going in that. Just a couple threads, that's all you need. Spin it 180, go around 180 degrees, or for me, because I'm right-handed mostly. I'm ambidextrous, but I use my right mouse. I'm going to come around 180 degrees, and I'm going to do the same thing to these two over here. So this one's going to come in here, and that one's going to tie into this hub part right there. You can, like I say, you can kind of slide it through, and it will almost point exactly where it's going to fit the hub. You just got to get it lined up. Is that right? Yeah, that's the right one. You just got to be careful when you're threading it in because you don't want to get it cross-threaded. Just kind of play with it a little bit until it starts threading in easy. Once you do that, then you're good. Let's move here. Now it'll kind of suspend itself. Give this one a few more screws and just tighten it up a smidge more so it's not hanging so much. Same thing with this one, just to bring it up a smidge. Pulling that bottom up a little tad. Now you can just start going in. So this one goes this way, so it will go into the next one. And then the next one will come back the other way and go across the tops and go into the one you just did. And you work yourself all the way around on this side. Again, you're doing the, start out with the sprocket side, using the shorter spokes. And like I say, you just follow the guide of the ring hole. There's a pattern to it. Once you figure out what it is, it's easy to go through. But you follow the guide, and that will put the spoke through and pretty much point it. When you center everything up right at the hole on the hub you need to screw into. So this is a very easy setup. So let me come up closer here. Like I say, you'll come through with your spoke, and you follow the guide hole where it's centered, and it's going to guide you right to that spot on that hub. And then you just screw it in. It is really very simple. Like I say, you have to kind of move things around a little bit because you don't want to cross-thread. So make sure the threads start in very simple and very easy. As long as you do that, you're going to be golden. So it goes to here. You just follow this around, and when we get done, we'll just flip this over 180 degrees. Take the slightly longer spokes and do the same thing to the non-sprocket side of the bike, or of the rim here. Now you don't want to tighten them up. You just want to get them threaded in there so they're, all threaded in and everything's in its place, but things are still fairly loose. We'll do the tightening afterward. Awesome. All laced up. So this process is called lacing a wheel. Right now we're individually lacing the spokes up. But the entire process is, referred to as lacing up a wheel. The idea of lacing is lacing the spokes through each other and getting them attached from the rim to the hub and centering everything and then spinning. That's all called truing the wheel. There we go. So everything's in place. Everything's kind of loose, no big deal. But it pretty much, it's kind of centers it when you get her all in there. Of course, she's not quite centered. We got a little bit of work to do. But now you just drop it 180 degrees. Same thing. We'll be going through the top of the top holes, going to the bottom part of the hub, and we'll be threading in that. Same idea. Follow your path through, and it will point right to where on the hub it's got to screw into, and you just get a couple threads. Now, again, you got to kind of watch things and make sure you're not cross threading. That's the biggest thing you got to worry about, is cross threading. You don't want to cross thread them. But luckily, everything's cheap right now. If you can still find them, they're only $5 a piece for the most part. I see some places are trying to really gouge prices for them. What do you expect? I mean, I've seen people asking $60 and $75 just for the parts, the outer ring now. They got them listed up on eBay. Like, really? You really think so? I guess somebody might. They didn't know any better or were desperate enough, needed a ring. And of course, they're discontinued now. So I have no idea if they're, I would like to think that they're coming out with a new design and sticking with the spoked rims. Oops, wrong. Oh, I missed one. Missed one. But maybe ProLine's not. Let's see. There we go. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not going to come out with a new design. But I'm hoping they do. Like I said, they kind of pretty much shot these out and discontinued them. They just come out with the Promoto, last fall? Late last fall, early spring. And then ProLine just dropped the tires for them April for the wheels. They're Pro Spec wheels for them. So they've not been out that long to be discontinued already. And it seems like the bike's selling quite well. They said the bike's not going anywhere. I had to call them a couple weeks ago about an alleged firmware update, which they confirmed to me they have not dropped out any. Now, that's not saying that they're not working on something and they aren't doing a release of something, on a kind of a dark way release, just to see how it pans out, if there's any issues over in Europe, because that's where I, heard the information about this, stuff. But I put it on my bike and it worked better. The bike seemed, I don't want to say it worked better. It worked. The bike functioned, but there was no gyro control as far as I could tell. The AV6 wheel, knob didn't do anything, didn't change anything. The flywheel button still turned the flywheel on and off. You still had to have the flywheel on, but I had no modes. I got no different, functions. It was straight one mode, run or not run. It pretty much seemed like an open dirt mode. Didn't seem to have any limiting, so I guess that was kind of okay on it. So if you're running on a dirt track, you can maybe load this up as an open mode and get very minimal AV6 operation. So it's you and the flywheel. So maybe you can get a lower lean and a better, more realistic control out of corners or something. I don't know. But yeah, they confirmed that, officially as of right now, Horizon, Spectrum, LOSI. If you don't know, LOSI is owned by Spectrum or Horizon, and so is Spectrum. They're both Horizon companies. So you call one technical support, and you've got access to all three technical support. So no, they did not update any firmware officially that they're announcing. Other people are saying they've got modes. I'm hesitant to believe that because, well, I tried it on my ESC twice in no mode. It was straight up function. I even seemed to get a little better battery life, maybe 30 seconds, a minute. Hard to quantify, so I wasn't really testing for that. But so there we go. So you do that process both sides over and over. Long spokes go to the non-sprocket side of the wheel or the rim. Shorter spokes go to the sprocket side. When you're doing it, whichever side you're lacing up first, in my case, I always suggest doing the hub side because it keeps you in a steady, simple pattern. Hub side, short spokes, or sprocket side, not hub side, sprocket side, short spokes. Non-sprocket side of the rear wheel, long spokes. Once you got it done, now as you can see, it's all done, but it's loose. It's got to be tightened. And here, this is where we're just going to go through it. And every one, we'll go one side, and then I'll just turn it on. All I'm doing is snugging them down until they touch. I don't want to tighten anything. I just want to get them down until everything's touching in one place, kind of loose. That will help you keep everything kind of centered. So you don't want to pull, you just want to touch. Because if you start pulling on this side, now you got to pull on the other side, and you don't want to pull until you got everything in place. Something in the threads there a little bit. So move. Make these touch. Get that out of the way. Pulling or just touching. Just taking out all the slop. Now, as you start doing this, they will start snugging and pinching a little bit, especially if your spokes are, got a little wiggle or something to them, they'll straighten out. Because a lot of times they do. When you're starting out, your spokes aren't perfectly flat. They usually got a little twing, so they're just steel. Okay, once you get that side, all we work down is flip over and start on the other side. And again, same thing, just down until we're touching and not taking up, all the slack's gone. All we're doing is eating up the slack. Okay, that's the last one. Tweak. So at this point, you're at a position where you need to start balancing the wheel, not balancing, truing up the wheel on the spin, getting that all kind of done. See, I'm just kind of tightening up, make sure all the slop's out of them right now, so all the spokes are pretty much set, ready to be tweaked. And we'll go back around and do the same thing over here, just to make sure that nothing's loose. Get all the crappiness out, so everything's in place. Touching, there's no loose spokes, everything else is rattling around a lot. You want things kind of snug, just to the point, like I say, they're not rattling, everything's touching. It's up a little bit. There it is. So you can tell it kind of, bump and slide a little, especially on a new one, because, everything's got to be kind of seated once. See, when you're looking at them, you finally get a couple of them seated, you can tell when they're up or not. You can kind of look down and see, too, as you're looking at them, if one's up a little higher than the next one when you're putting them. Make sure everything's torqued, or at least tight. Okay, so now, no rattles. Everything's nice and snug. Now we are ready. So now it's time to find something to balance on. I gotta do something. Here we go. I do have them right there. Need to pop out a couple bearings. Need the centerpiece, but because now it's time that we have to start spinning this wheel up. There's two ways of doing this. Easy way, if you don't have, you're thinking, God, how am I gonna, spin this wheel? The easiest way I know of, kind of tighten those bearings, is to stick it on your front forks. Although rear wheel might be a little wide, you can always just remove your chain, slide your chain up out of the way, and put your axle through, and then you can spin your rear wheel on your rear axle, right on the swing arm, and use that. Or you can, hopefully you have some other items. This is a Dubrow prop balancer. Not really a flyer, but I've been trying and thinking about it. Bought an RC lot a long time ago, and it had a plane in it, and I flew it. Got one good flight. I ended up cutting the power too much. It was over top the cornfield. We got too low and caught the corn, and it pulled it in and mucked it up pretty good. But I got this Dubrow prop balancer, and this is a very easy thing to. Actually, I gotta do one other thing here. I forgot this has got to go in first. Put you on. Put you on. There's a little spring back. Stick you through there. Put this cone on. Now our tube to hold the cone. Maybe too much. Nope, okay. I'm going to do it this way then. Take the spring right off. We don't need it on. Okay. A little bit wide, still be able to make it work. Let me try it without the bearings. I think that'll probably work easier. Just the way these cones are set up, they'll take in less room too. Okay. There we go. Now we got it to fit in there. So there, it's a pretty good spot, pretty centered. You can see she's not really too balanced. The minute you put her in there, she kind of rolls a little bit. It looks like I got her positioned well on the unit. But what you're looking for here is wobble this way, just back and forth traveled, dog legging, or swaying back and forth. You can kind of see it's rolling a little bit. So the first thing we need to do is, one, make sure it's spinning through and all around. And the way you do that is just look at it from an angle on the side. You pick one point, match. Like on this, I'm going to pick the point between this metal riser and the plastic outer piece, right in that corner. I'm going to run my eye in there and bring that wheel edge right to that point, and then spin it, and you can watch it and see that it does. Now I can see it's kind of going this way, but I can also see it's kind of doing this too. So there is a little back and forth and a little up and down. So that's what we got to take care of first. Now this is where I got to really start thinking and remembering, because I haven't done this in a while. So as it's going that way, we want to tighten the side that pulls it this way. So we're going to tighten this way to pull this way. So we're going to do like 4 parts here. We're going to give these a little thread, 4 to 5, just a little turn, each one, not much. We'll do each spoke on just this side, because we want to pull it that way, a smidge right up in here. For like 4 or 5 spokes, just to kind of get it set up. They were also pretty loose on that one, so we're also taking out that extra slop that they add from our initial touching, as well as getting it in place. So you also see it's coming up a little bit. These got to be tightened up on both sides because we got to pull it all this way. Stop it right there and just give them each a little tweak. Basically between these two line spots here where the slip ring goes on. Okay, I want to tighten these ones up on this side. Try to pull it in this way. And it's not like having to go halfway through each of these. You know what? Pull these this way a little bit. I think. Start working this other side. Probably should have done that a minute ago. So I want to pull this way. So right in here. Two before. Run through this entire spot here. Give her a tweak. One beyond it. And here out. That's all you're doing, man. You adjusting and screwing and spinning and stopping and adjusting and screwing and spinning and stopping. And it's just repetitive all over the place. But this is what it takes. And what you're looking for here is as it wiggles to the left or to the right, wherever it's wiggling out the most, you need to stop at that spot and then tighten the spokes that will pull it the opposite direction of its wiggle. So if it's wiggling to the right, you want to tighten the spokes that go to the left part of the hub, pull it to the left so it's not wiggling to the right. And same, opposite, vice versa, obviously. If it's wiggling to the right in that spot, you want to tighten those spokes that are pulling it to the left. Or if it's wiggling to the left on that spot, you want to tighten the spokes that are pulling it to the right. So you get that rim spinning not only true around, but in the middle, that the hub's actually centered in the middle. And you can see that, and we're getting pretty close to that too. So still got a bit of a wiggle in it. Here up about a third of the rim. Not much, a little tweak on each one, just a little snug, just to tighten it in. Take a little bit more tension and pull it that way. I do this side that's pulling this way. Wow. Yes, this is a very time-consuming part of motorcycles. It's been a long time since I've done one, but there's faster ways. I'd be spoken at some point. Just to get close. I don't know. Now, how much? There, it stopped right there. Now we're going back. All right. Interesting. Interesting. More. We're getting there. It's closer, but it takes a while to get it right. All right, we'll try this again. We're back on stage. Should be popping up here. No internet must be getting Joshy. Of course, I don't know if we could actually use that anymore. I think his internet's fixed. Josh over at VP. His home internet's been crap. I should have something here. Why not? And stream, no. Let's see. Right. Is it going to come up again? Okay, there we go. We'll take a look here. Let me get this going. Come on. I hate it when it gets chunky and slow and a pain in the nerds to watch. Don't you start. Damn leg just started twitching on me. Okay. Probably should pull out a key here. I need to bring these this way. About here. Don't like that one. Want a nice tight key in here. Definitely don't want anything sloppy. Should have some good keys. That. This one. It's too sloppy too. It's too small, I think. Too small, yeah. I got to have a couple. They're all mixed in, so I'm not sure what's SAE and what's metric. It's kind of sloppy too. Got nice edges on it. space. Okay. That's a little better. Not great, but a bit better than the other ones have been. It's too big. Just a little too big. I like that one either. pain in the butt, time consuming, and been a while. Looks like I'm a little off on my centering a bit. I may have to end up starting over a smidge here. So it looks like down looks like this here has got to be loosened a little bit through here on each side, just a smidge. So let me go ahead and start about halfway. Looks like this stuff's just a little too low. Just one side's a little too tight here. Down. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna start this all over. Now as I'm tweaking it, it's tweaking somewhere else and I'm getting things too tight. That's what I mean. It's a bear. It's got it close, but not close enough. I have to loosen everything up, start again. It's just getting too hard to tweak. Hey, but essentially that's the process. I'll have to go over it, get a little bit better with it, come back on, make a second video of more refined detailing on, getting it done right. Because it's kind of a pain in the ass. It should be done, but it's close. You can see there, it's very close. A little bit more for you here. But still not close enough. A little bit of wobble is more than enough to be throwing you off. So when you're doing these, they got to be perfect. I mean, literally, you don't want any wobble in that or any back and forth sway. I don't think I really got much as far as wobble. Just a little bit more back and forth sway I got to get worked out. I think I need some better Allen wrenches. I'm going to need some decent keys, or maybe grab my Klein tool and get my Torex out so I get a better bite in these and a better handle to grab on. Because it's close, but not close enough. It's got to be pretty much right on. This is the one that's out of the bag. And you can see that sucker is pretty much perfect. No sway, no wobble. That's what you're shooting for. That's what it's got to be right there. Now, like I said, I'm going to have to re-loosen these up. Everything's laced right. You can just look at them and, see that everything's laced right. Now it's just a matter of getting it all laced in place. So, a little bit of work. This is a pain in the ass, but yeah, when you get it done right, that's how it should spin right there. So I'm going to refine my tweaking technique. I'm going to have to go watch a couple of videos again and kind of refresh my brain. We're close, but I do have to do a little bit. I can see some of these are threaded in way more than others. But that's, I guess, because of where they're going. Like this one here has got quite a bit of threads out compared to the couple next to it. It's strange. But there's that many threads out of it. That's pretty close to what she was on the other side, but yeah, a little bit more in some areas. So yeah, I'm gonna have to re-loosen that all up, redo it. But yes, this is what it should spin like when you're done. So when you do it, watch some videos. It's a little pain in the ass. It takes a little bit of time, but you got to get it right, or else you're going to have problems with balance. And because it's another gyroscope on the bike, so if it's off, it's going to throw you off. So you want to get your wheels as true and balanced as possible, so they spin true, no up and down, no side to side, and then it's balanced, so when it stops spinning, there's no high or low spots. It just stops wherever your balance on your rim is good. So see here's a little bit, these have to be balanced. I have to put the tires on them, put the rings and then the tires, and then you balance them when it's all fully to go just before it goes on the bike, so everything's good to go. But yeah, that's what it needs. So anyways, I've been on for an hour and a half ish. That's good enough for that. But yeah, I got through the gist of it, of how to lace the wheel up. That is very easy. Truing it and balancing's pretty easy, but truing it's the work. That's where all the time's going to be spent. So if you want somebody to assemble them for you, remember it's going to take them some time on that. That is not the easiest, most simple thing to end up doing all the time. So you really have to kind of watch what you're doing. This and that, yeah. So you really got to kind of watch what you're doing when you're truing up your wheels so they're spinning properly. But other than that, that is the process. So you can use your forks, your swing arm, take a spare swing arm, get it mocked up and mounted up so it doesn't move on you. So you can put your rear tire on it, front tire, whatever. Dubro pop balancers are pretty nice. They work pretty good. As far as that goes, we're getting it done. But yeah, whatever you need to do, get those wheels trued up. But yeah, they're $5 a piece, $5 for the ring, $5 for the hub, $5 for the spoke. So it was a hard deal to beat, but yeah, some assembly required because I waited a while before I got it, and I'm not the only one. I see a lot of people are buying the stuff, and if you're not sure what you're doing, this will at least get you to a properly spoked. So the spokes are in the right place, coming from the right direction on the hub. If you're looking at it from the back, this is going to be the sprocket side. So you got your spokes going through the right angle to the right part of the hub. Otherwise, if you use it, flip them around, it's going to pull your wheel. It's not going to be centered in between the two parts of the hub. It's going to be offset, which is going to be offset in the swing arm now. So that's why it's important to make sure you get them all right. So anyways, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you guys coming in. Like I said, she's been, at least an hour and a half. I know it says 53 minutes ago, but I think it's been a little longer than that. This thing kind of choked out on me a little bit there. But anyways, thanks for hanging out, checking out the vid. Hit that share, hit that like, subscribe button if you would. If you do subscribe, hit that bell option, the little drop down, and choose all, because when you subscribe to anybody's channel, including mine, it gives you personalized invitations. So you won't get a notification unless you choose the all of videos and things like that going on, comments, whatever, whoever you subscribe to, whatever they're doing, you won't know unless it just pops up in your feed because you didn't get a notification because you didn't choose the all. So yeah, hit the like, share, subscribe. Appreciate it. You guys have a great day. And I'll probably come back a little bit later. Hopefully I'll get this figured out, get it trued in, come back, get to the Pro Supermoto wheels. I got the front and back Supermoto wheels to do yet. And I'll be able to wrap through those really fast to show you how to get it done. But we'll go from there. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you. Take it easy.